I'm going to be talking tonight on a subject that is very near and dear to my heart, and that's bringing the next generation home. I want to make you all aware that we actually have an FFA club here, or an FFA chapter here joining us this evening from Osceola, and with Darren Stirrup. And I'm really excited to see all of the young people in the audience today as we talk about the tool, and it's a brand new tool to move forward with the beef industry to bring the next generation home. The talk that I'm going to give tonight was actually an economic report that Don Close with Rabobank did back in 2015. When I asked his permission to give this talk to you tonight, because I do think that there are some excellent points in this, he wanted me to help make you aware that obviously the economics of the cattle industry have changed since he first wrote this report. Nonetheless, he feels that there is some benefit in certain operations, in certain places in the country, that the outside-in confined cow-calf production, which is confinement and semi-confinement, will really be important in rebuilding the U.S. cow herd numbers. Now, I know that we're not seeing the best prices that we're used to, but the fact is we are still at the same resources we've always been, and we know that we have a population that is growing. So both Don and I decided that yes, there will be demand for the beef industry, and it's not just the size of the herd that affects, the U.S. herd, that affects the price quotations. So really, we know that we still need to use tools to grow the U.S. cow herd. And if the industry is going to preserve existing infrastructures with marketing availability and with processing availability, we're really going to have to regain the lost market share that we've seen in recent months and since 2012. You see, there's a number of developing countries around the world that are experiencing growth of population, and I'm sure you've all heard it. We talk about, by 2050, there's going to be 9 million mouths to feed. And that doesn't mean that we're going to be successful in agriculture. That doesn't mean that there aren't some people that are going to continue to go hungry. But that does mean that if we watch the economics, there is an opportunity for us as we move forward. It was just a year ago right now that my husband and I went to China with a lead alumni group. And it was amazing to me because I thought of myself as middle class. What I found out is that middle class in China means that they've given you a new apartment because they've moved you off the land. You have 500 square feet for your family of 3. You have a cement floor, a cement ceiling, and 4 cement walls. They're elated. They think it's awesome because they have indoor plumbing and toilets. What shocked me was they were ecstatic about indoor plumbing that was just cold water. If they wanted hot water in their apartment, they had to buy their own unit and break out the walls to put the plumbing in for hot water. As we were talking with some of our tour guides, they said, we just really want to eat protein. The rice and beans, we want to go beyond that. We want to eat meat, eggs, and milk. And by the way, we can't drink wine and beer every night like you Americans do. So I thought it was really interesting. So we know that we're very good in the beef industry. Nebraska is the beef state. We know that we're good at what we do. I can also tell you, if you saw my bio in the program, that even though I graduated from the University of Nebraska in animal science, my grandpa still taught me everything I know about cows. And there's only a few regions in the world that can do the job we do here in Nebraska, and that's raise beef. The other thing I can tell you is that agriculture today doesn't look like the way my grandfather did it, nor my father. And I can tell you that my 3 sons and my daughter will not know the industry the same when they reach my age that we are doing it now. So agriculture is always adapting and moving forward and trying new things. It was interesting when Dr. Hayes talked about the sandhills method. That's the way I grew up calving cows. We had two pastures. Everything was in the right pasture or the west pasture for 4 or 5 days. Then you'd move all the heavies east, and you'd tag the calves, and the younger ones you'd leave there for a while, and the older ones you'd kick north to go into the pair lot. And so we still can go back to some of those methods that are generations old, but we can also use new technology and new opportunities to help the next generation. So what are the barriers to getting into the industry and to expand our herd today? First of all, the high capital required. I'm excited. I have worked with AFAN for 6 years. I work for all species now, but this is the first time that I have seen an opportunity for AFAN to really help make a difference, to bring the next generation home. And that's an opportunity with this new style or the new model for possibly some operations, confinement being an answer. You see, my husband, I grew up in the Sandhills. We live just on the west side of David City today. We've always had a dog, but I was really thrilled the year that my husband said I could have some cows. And we have a really small herd, but my cows are what ground me. When I get tired of all the hustle and bustle, I go out to the calving pasture. And in the last 10 years, we lost 7 pastures because I don't own enough pasture for my measly 40 cows. But we've lost 7 different pastures that all went to row crop production. We've had the same pasture now for the last 3 years, and it's a piece of ground that lies a little bit low, pretty close to the river, just south of here a ways, and it was in row crop production, and because the economics just didn't work, it is now back into pasture, and we use it to raise protein through the beef industry. So with the declining pasture land, especially in eastern Nebraska and the rest of the world, we've lost 3.2 million acres in the last 10 years. Ken, I think I quoted you wrong on that. But all of a sudden in eastern Nebraska, it's hard to find places to put your cow herd for the summer. So we're finding ways to transport the cow and calf all the way out to the eastern edge of the Sandhills and sometimes all the way to the western edge, and then bring those pairs back. Well, I'm really glad for those ranchers out there who have hit tough times, and it is a resource to summer pairs for them. I truly believe that for the Nebraska beef industry, we are going to have to become more sustainable, and we're going to have to find ways and use more of the resources that we have to a higher level to be sustainable in the beef industry in eastern Nebraska. So we've had the expansion of row crops. We've had some urban sprawl, which we're still seeing in way eastern Nebraska. 2/3 of our population lives east of Lincoln to the Missouri River. Most of our communities are growing. Emily is from Blair, and she's just talking about how they are going to work with urban sprawl in the Blair region, between Blair and Omaha. We have a lot of high fence recreational programs that are meant to keep the livestock out. And we also have got some restricted Bureau of Land Management. I know that was just in the news. Some of this restricted land management is actually feeding horses for the displaced Mustangs. But with all of that happening, we may get a little bit back from some of the ground that really wasn't meant to go into row crop, but we're still having other pressures onto our land masses. The other thing, and boy, I hate being on the end of this one, but those of us in the beef industry are aging. The average U.S. rancher and farmer is 58 years old today, soon to be 60. And what Dr. Hayes said, they don't want to be calving cows. I don't want to be calving cows in knee-deep mud in some of those instances. So that tells me 2 things. Number 2, we have to find a way to not work hard, but work smart. And number 1, we have to bring the next generation and the young people back into the industry so that they can take it from there. So really, more innovation is needed to help the growth of the cattle sector in the United States. Cow numbers are going to need to increase by about 3 to 4 million head, despite the decline in grazable lands. I know that with the lower prices, everybody's saying, well, the cow herd's big enough right now. Well, it really isn't, because we have more processing capacity and jobs at stake to get the protein from the gate at your ranch or farm to the consumer who wants that protein. So we truly need to grow the 3 to 4 million head of mama cows. Now, we all know that Mother Nature is pretty unpredictable. Tomorrow she's sending us a snowstorm, and it was close to over 70 today. So we all know that that has been the one factor that we have never been able to control. We have gone out and calved cows in blizzards and 7 feet of snow and knee-deep mud. And so she's hard to predict, and we're probably never going to control her. But stabilizing an environment in some cases can really increase cow health, animal health, and efficiencies. And after all, we have to be economically viable to stay alive in this industry. And so the best way to become most efficient is to making those animals the most comfortable that they can be. Now, profitability, confined production models present alternatives. They're not meant for every operation. There's no cookie cutter to any of this, but we do have a way that can replace some of the high capital with intensified management and labor. You see, there's a lot of second-generation people who have gone home to the farm. I've talked to a lot of them that have gone home to row cropping only farms, and all of a sudden they don't know where their next second family income is going to come from. And we don't know that those row crop prices are going to come up to the place that will guarantee that. And so diversity seems to be the answer. Using the resources that you have at hand, helping other people understand the value of corn stock management and nutrient management to help everyone in the entire farming industry be efficient and to stay within the industry. So why can this work? Why can we use this opportunity? First of all, and I know Dr. Hayes covered a lot of this, but increased efficiency, here again, a viable solution to expansion challenges. We can, through tailor feeding programs, you can actually help that cow become more efficient, whether you're feeding her in the trimester or the lactating or the dry stage, the 3 trimesters. You have the ability in a building to sort cows by body condition and continually changing the feed intake adjustments to benefit the animal, plus making the resources that you have become financially healthy for your operation. You can enhance the cow health and the calf health that we were talking about. There's a great deal of research that is needed in this area, and I'll tell you about a program here at the end of this talk about one that is being researched right now. But the little research that has been done truly suggests that improved cow health and reproductive life extension of that life will be a huge efficiency for the beef industry. Conception rates and live calf rates will increase, and in most times probably rise to above conventional levels. The calf health can be enhanced. Dr. Hayes was talking about the creep areas and the areas that are protected for them to lay down and rest in. Prenatal health of the calf is better because you're spending more time with that cow and really detailing her diet and her management regime. And what we find is that calves really start eating earlier and drinking water at a much earlier age than they would do out in the middle of one of my sandhill pastures where they had to go miles to the tank. So confined or semi-confined cow units are especially attractive, of course, here in the eastern part of the state. Opportunities of family members or the next generation to come home, ability to gain greater value from forage production, using those corn stalks turning around, lowering your input costs on your row crop input with the nutrient, managing both of those resources can help the financial health of an operation. And so it's interesting, whenever I talk about manure, everybody wants to, cringe. And I do a lot of permitting where people are wanting to expand or put in a new operation, and I go to a lot of public hearings. And the last thing that many of the people who are against what you're doing today want to hear that your manure is organic, because they love organic at the grocery store. And so they would rather put manure with toxic waste. But we have to help educate them and help them understand that that is the way we recycle. That is the only, or some of the only nutrients that's allowed in organic production that they pay a premium for at the grocery store. So a lot of it is education, learning, looking, pushing the pencil. What I'm going to do now is to have Emily and some of the gals bring out to you a simple cost of production analysis. These are estimates that estimate the break-even cost per calf. I didn't put it up here because it's pretty detailed. I think you can all understand. On one side of the paper, it talks about how they did the study and the results of it, and on the other side is the graph. And what they did here was that they used, and here again, it was done in 2015. We all know the economics of the industry was different then. But what they've done in this study was use a high cost, a medium cost, and a low cost and value to the cattle and to the feed. And so I encourage you to take a look at this if you're interested. If you have any questions with this, Don Close, both his telephone number and his email is in your packet. You can ask some of us. If we can't get an answer for you, we will call Don and get an answer for you. But it really is a tool that can help you decide what will work for you. The second thing that it did was it really evaluated the alternative model for sustainability. About a year and a half ago, AFAN decided that we truly had to define sustainability because we were just taking too many hits from people who were trying to define sustainability for us. And we all know that people who don't know the industry probably have different definitions than we do. And if they're the first to define it, it's going to be not good for Nebraska agriculture. So we came up with the 3 pillars of what we feel sustainability is all about. And first of all, it's being environmentally sound, responsible use of natural resources, and making sure that you leave the land better than when you started managing that land. So with this model, you have a way to truly be environmentally sound. To be socially responsible, you need to take care of your family, your communities, your animals, and do it in a responsible way. Because we all know that what we do, we're not in this industry because we want to work hard all the time. We know we're in it because we enjoy it and we love what we do. People and community well-being and animal well-being, much to the misunderstanding of many people in the world, is our number one concern. And then economically viable. I can tell you that in the coming years, as we move forward, that the use of innovation and alternative models and making them fit, pick and choose what works best for your operation and your farm is what is going to keep as many farmers in the business as possible. So I encourage you to look at these alternate models, this innovation, and ways to do it just a little bit different. Then also I want you to know that with risk mitigation, by using more of your resources, we've got a number of financial institutions that are very interested in this diversity or in this type of project. I've worked with a number of local banks, USDA through FSA loans, Rabobank, Farm Credit Services, are all partners of AFAN and have all looked at the model and are all excited about ways that we can diversify and bring the next generation home. So let's do it. Let's bring the next generation home, and let's do it through beef production. Tonight, this is just a quick overview, and I do want you to know that there is a research project going on at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Dr. Ken Ng, he is with a Cow Efficiency Symposium that will be held October 5th and 6th. 2011 6. Sorry about that. Obviously, I didn't read. So this October 5th and 6th, it will be at the Cornhusker Hotel in Lincoln, Nebraska. And the research data will be compiled from not only the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and our excellent animal science department, but also that of Oklahoma State and Texas A&M. So I thank you very much for letting me share Dr. Close's work with you. I really encourage you to take this home, put your pencil to paper, and see how this might work to bring the next generation home.